The flavor of this beef is different for several reasons. One is the grass diet, obviously.
Well, grass-fed to me is a much more artisanal product.
When we look specifically at the grass-fed sector, we've seen exponential growth.
No, and also, it's not just grass-fed, grass-finished. We're farming for healthy soil.
It gives the consumer a high level of confidence in the foods that they're eating.
According to Nielsen data, retail sales of grass-fed beef grew from $17 million in 2012 to $272 million in 2016.
And let's be clear, grass-fed doesn't always mean grass-finished. See, most of the beef that a lot of us have eaten our whole lives is a cow that feeds on grass at first, but then finishes out its days by fattening up on grain.
But there are farmers doing it the grass-fed and grass-finished way. John Taggart says he was one of the pioneers of grass-finished beef.
We should go herd some cattle. Is that how we say it?
Yep,
That's the right term?
or gather.
Gather.
I started in 1999, and I was told I was crazy by people in the cow business and people in the meat business. And now all the big groceries are in grass-fed. Big processors are in grass-fed worldwide. And so I think it's here to stay.
And it's a return to nature. John says it's what the cows were meant to do.
Cows are ruminant animals. They have 4 parts to their stomach for a reason. And that's so they can digest grass, which we don't very well, convert it to a protein that we can consume. And they were designed to eat grass. This system worked for a few million years before we got here. And it's designed to work that way, and it works very well if you just kind of get out of the way and let it happen. When I got here, there's 1,400 acres on this ranch, and 900 of it was plowed. It was farmland. And we started pretty quick after I got here converting that back to native grass. And we just went through, in 2011 to early 2015, a severe drought. And there were millions of cattle moved out of Texas. We harvested cattle every week of the year through that entire drought. We didn't destock this ranch, and we did not do any supplemental feeding. And the reason was that is because we planted those deep-rooted native grasses that were designed by somebody a lot bigger than us to survive those droughts.
Did you catch that? Taggart says that he survived that drought, and it was because of his grass. Not everyone was so lucky. John and Kaylin Cobb almost had to give up their family farm after the soil did so poorly after that drought.
We didn't have any life in our soil, and we weren't thinking about it. We weren't even aware of it at all. We killed everything that wasn't what we were trying to grow, because that was all we knew. By 2011, which was a bad drought year for us here, we had made the decision that we were gonna have to leave. So we put our house on the market. I finally worked up the courage to talk to Dad, sit down and say, "You're gonna be the last generation," and it was very emotional.
But before he gave up on the farm, Jonathan said, "I'm gonna give it a Hail Mary," and he saved the soil instead.
We're the creator of our own issues. We're sitting here wanting to blame nature and moan and groan and complain because we can't get that darn rain, right?
Alan Williams is a 6th-generation cattle farmer who gives what sounds like a soil sermon. He's consulted more than 4,000 farmers and ranchers, showing them that grass-fed and finished cows isn't just good for the earth, it can save them money.
We want to talk about the livestock. What are we looking for in livestock that are going to perform optimally and efficiently, and most important, profitably?
They're getting closer. Can we get a little closer?
Sure, we'll try.
Okay, sure, we'll try.
Just move slowly. Yeah.
It sounds funny to say that we bought cattle for the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reason we brought animals back onto the land was because we knew it was a fundamental element needed to restore the life in the soil.
The key to healthy soil and grass-fed beef is pretty simple. Something called rotational grazing. Farmers set up plots of land called paddocks. They move the livestock from paddock to paddock, allowing grass time to recover and to regrow.
So they ate
Keep
all
it.
of this today? That looks like this?
It's 24-hour slices right here. So these are about 2.5 acre paddocks that we're on right now. And then that's what they are portioned to eat.
It's really
based on that.
pretty alarming how much they eat, though.
Yeah, so last time we measured, their average daily gain was 3.5 pounds. So they're eating about 40 pounds of dry matter per day.
And the cobs have definitely seen results.
You can see the good aggregation and structure. It used to be thought that you had to use a plow and till, the soil up so that you could get oxygen in there. We know now that every time you're doing that, you lose that aggregation and then you just have powdery soil. These are the only tillage we need. The worms aerate the soil for us.
But now that the soil health has improved and we have soil aggregates and we have earthworms that make channels that the water can go into and all of this life, that it's more like a sponge, and so we can take more water in and store it in our soil.
Even as grass-fed and grass-finished beef sales have grown 1,500% since 2012, they still pale in comparison to conventional beef sales in the U.S., which reached $105 billion in 2015. That is about 1/4%.
Does grass-fed, grass-finished have a bigger future? Can it get bigger? Can we start to get the numbers edging into what would then become conventional? Will it be conventional?
Whether we're finishing it on grain or grass, I want every farmer and rancher that is growing livestock to adopt these adaptive grazing practices and to build their soil organic matter and soil health, because this is going to make a whole sea change in the way our soil functions, in the way our ecosystem works, in our water quality, and in our climate.
And so really this is going back to nature.
It is. I often tell people this is so old that it's new.
And all of our new friends told us in the end, it's going to be you, the consumer, who decides the future of grass-fed, grass-finished beef.
Especially younger people now are really concerned about where their food comes from. They're concerned with nutrition. They read labels, food labels, and they want to know the story, and they love to hear the story. But I can only sell a great story one time. If it's not good, they're not going to buy the story the second time. So I'm pretty proud of the product we produce on a quality basis too.
And his business has grown. Taggart now has 3 stores across Texas. And he says the success is in the quality of the meat.
And then this is where we dry age.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Right here is the brisket, and that's between the front legs. And that's one of the places I look when I sort cattle to decide who's going to be harvested. And it's indicative of how much fat is on the
What part is that right here?
It's right between their front legs, on their chest.
On their chest.
And look at the difference on the fat.
So that one's got quite a bit of fat, so that's going to taste better.
Yeah.
So when I bite into this, I'm going to tell a difference from the short rib I would have had 2 weeks ago.
I don't know, I hope so.
Okay, should we taste?
Sure, absolutely. We've been eating grass-fed for 20 plus years. A grain-fed product is a lot more regimented, it's very scientific. So these, you might go to a different part of the country and different grasses grow in that part of the country. Different seasons, you get these little variations.
It tastes so good. I love the flavor.
It's such an easy formula. Healthy soil plus healthy grass equals healthy beef. It is really that simple.